And over to you, Martin.
Cool. Hello, everyone. Welcome to, I believe it to be a first live stream for the Kandu Group. We've got a lot jam-packed agenda today. It's going to be a really, really fun, exciting session. I'm joined by Ben from Adaptive Before, Mel from Spokespeople, and Rob from Active Hands. I'm Martin from Disability Horizons and Purple Goat. And as you're hopefully aware, this session is around boosting physical and mental well-being. Very important topic generally, I think, in life, but with the weird and wonderful year we've been having due to this pandemic and all the other pressures of life, it's obviously an even more important topic to touch base on. We hope everyone watching, you're getting on well through this crazy year as well. But I think this is going to be a nice time to reflect a bit on our individual, looking at the physical and mental well-being. I just wanted to kick off a little bit about my personal experience that some of you may have seen if you follow my personal channels, that I published a blog on Sunday that I'd actually decided sort of back end of summer, early autumn, to have a couple of sessions with a therapist, because I'd felt my mental health was just sort of not in a really bad place, but I wanted to prevent it from getting worse. So it was a kind of prevention rather than cure action. And I think for me, there'd been a bit of a stigma about admitting that to myself, let alone what others in my family and even being an influencer, probably what people might have thought. But having decided to go through with that and, really benefited a lot from it. I think with all the other things I've done in life, with travels and business and all sorts of other things that I've always shared, because I believe there's a lot of other people, particularly in the disability community, that, to have someone that can speak out in all those topics is really helpful, to know you're not alone. And so that was my reason for publishing that blog. And so we've got a great team of people to have various discussions and conversations. We've got 2 sessions as well, practical sessions, which is going to be really helpful for you watching, and one of them is to get quite active. So guys, I think it'd be great for you all to introduce yourself and maybe just give some thoughts on today's session. And obviously, if we start off more in the mental well-being side, and then later on we'll have a chat more around the physical well-being side. So we'll come to Rob first. I'm sort of like who to go to. Rob, it'd be great. Just give yourself an introduction and any personal experiences on the physical or the mental well-being, if you prefer.
Okay, so I'm Rob Smith. So I'm the director of the Active Hands company. We manufacture products which are essentially gripping aids or products for people with reduced hand function, to allow them to take part in various activities. Our products started mostly in a sort of gym-based area, so very much on the physical well-being side of things, when I was really struggling due to spinal cord injury and reduced hand function to be able to access a lot of gym equipment. So I developed some products in that area, and they're used regularly by me and lots of other people, but we've kind of expanded our product range now. So I'm also a regular athlete, fairly high-level wheelchair racer. I've been selected for Paralympics GB a number of times, not for Paralympic Games, but for marathons and that kind of thing. And training is a big part of my physical and mental well-being program. I would normally train every day, although unfortunately, as tends to happen, I've got a bit of a UTI last night and not feeling great today, so taking my day off of training today. I think that's important for you as well. Have a bit of time off when you need it. Listen to your body.
Yeah, well, thanks for the introduction, and also thanks for battling through not feeling on top form and still being on the live stream tonight. We all really appreciate that. And I think, obviously you talked about generally you're very physically active and always training, and so within that. Oh, I had a bit of an echo. I think it's coming back out of you.
Sorry, say again?
I think that it's coming out. My voice is coming out of your speaker back into your mic. I think it's okay now, though.
Just a
Okay,
glitch.
just a little glitch.
Yeah,
Exactly.
carry on.
Cool. Well, we're live. Tech stuff happens, right?
Yeah.
And I was just going to say, Rob, for you, sort of with this, weird year of the pandemic and COVID. I mean, how have you just generally been able to look after your physical and mental well-being through this more difficult year?
It's been quite a struggle, I have to be honest. I've got two small kids, so Jacob is 7 and Xanthi is just coming up to 2. She doesn't really understand what's going on, but she's missing. She doesn't know it, but she's definitely missing out on singing groups and all those groups that you take a toddler to. And Jacob, I think Jo, my wife, did a very good explanation of how things are at the moment to Jacob at his level. In that kind of our anxiety levels at the moment are kind of right up here. So it only takes like a little thing, which normally wouldn't be much of a difference to our overall stress levels. And it feels like a massive thing because we're already up so high with the anxiety and we're all feeling it at this time. And even if we think we're coping well, it's just that complete boost of what's going on in the world, which is making it a struggle. I've been trying to keep up with my training. We did manage to make it back onto the track a bit, but now we're back on rollers training, and we're doing Zoom rollers training as a training group, and that's been really important for my kind of social life, really, with my training group. But we're just trying to do the best we can, but it's hard times at the moment.
Yeah, it is. Well, yeah, thanks for sharing that, Rob. And we'll sort of come to Mel for an introduction and any of your sort of experiences and thoughts in this topic area, and then we can come back to you again, Rob, if you want to sort of contribute more bits as we go as well. But thanks for that, Rob. So over to you, Mel.
Yeah, I mean, both you and Rob have said something I want to pick up on, but yes, so I'll introduce myself first. So I'm Mel, and I run Spokespeople, which is the services side of Spokes, which is run by my husband Steve. And he has a spinal cord injury, and we also have a child. And I set up Spokespeople in collaboration with Spokes, working with Steve and seeing that there's so much focus on the physical rehabilitation, but not, how do we deal emotionally with being disabled, and not only around what happens to our bodies, but how people treat you and everything like that. And I think when people call me up, like you said, Martin, there's so much stigma around therapy. People are like, well, I don't want to be disabled and crazy.
Yeah.
And the first thing I say is, when we look at America, people have therapists for life there. It's like their friend, and they go and visit them every now and then, and there's no stigma. It's just having a space where you can say what you need to say without being shut down, without being silenced. So that's the first thing I say. And then, hooking into what you said, Rob, I do so much talking around this elevated level of stress. And, maybe it's helpful if I explain a bit on that. So most of us know about the fight, flight, freeze instinct. And what happens is our brain is looking for a threat, it finds one, and then our instincts take over. And the good example is if we look at like a lion who's chasing an antelope. It will first try and run away. That's the flight. It will then, if it's almost caught, it will try and kick out. It will try and fight back. And if none of that works and it gets caught by the lion, it goes limp. And that's the kind of freeze response. And that's our body kind of being overwhelmed and shutting down to protect itself. Because there's a small chance, if we kind of play dead, that the lion might think, oh, I don't want to eat this dead animal, walk away. And then what happens is the antelope will get up, it will wake up, and it will shake. And then it will just go back to eating grass or whatever it was doing. And we call that the resting state down here. And for some reason, there's lots of theories around, people have lost the skill of doing the shaking to get rid of all this pent up energy that's in our bodies. And so we struggle to get to this resting state. And in today's society, there's so many things that are threatening to our brains, even though they're not life and death situations. Our brain perceives it like that, so they kick us into that fight flight. And then on top of that, when you're disabled, living with disability, there's so many negative situations and threatening situations coming up daily, like when someone blocks you in the car park, and you need to get to a meeting and you're going to be late, or you can't pick your child up because you can't get there in time. So heightened vigilance, being on this higher level, is really common among people living with disability and their family members. And what that means is we just have to work harder to get to that place of rest. And COVID is being a major stressor in our family too. I was just saying to you, Martin, our PA was unable to do social distancing in her life, so we had to decide to not let her come into our house for several months, and manage all of our jobs as a family without it. So feedback from lots of people has been, there's a lot of overwhelm, a lot of anxiety, and people struggling to get to this place of rest. So hopefully today I can show some simple things that people can practice to try and bring that down.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Mel. We'll come to Ben to get your opening thoughts and obviously introduction to what you get up to, and then we'll be coming back to you, Mel, afterwards for our first session. So thank you for that, Mel. And over to you, Ben.
All right, thank you. My name is Ben Clark. I run Adapt to Perform, which is the world's largest YouTube channel, which is dedicated to fitness and well-being for wheelchair users. The reason I started it was about 3 years ago, nearly 4 years ago now, actually. I was looking online for some fitness videos to help me in the gym to get fit and strong and healthy, but I was really struggling to find stuff, and being of the age I was at the time, I'm the YouTube generation where we get, look on YouTube for everything, for information, and I couldn't find anything, so I thought, why not just do it myself? I have an experience of being a professional swimmer before my injury, which I had 10 years ago now, and I had a little bit of experience of being a professional swimmer afterwards. So I thought I could take that sort of knowledge and then combine it with what I know about YouTube, and then start to make some videos for people. And since then, I've done nearly 400 videos. I live stream most of the way through lockdown. I did 140 days in a row, which was Martin, you know how tiring it is to do a lot of live streaming every day. So that was pretty good. It was good fun, and it was kind of combining what we're talking about here, both the mental side of it and the physical side of it, because during this time a lot of people are feeling isolated, not just physically but mentally isolated away from friends and families, and I thought it was really important to help build the community that I had and sort of introduce everybody to each other through these live streams. So I thought it was a great way to be able to reach out to those people that really needed it at the time. So it's been fantastic, and like for me personally, lockdown's actually been quite great, because building this community means that I've made friends from all around the world. I haven't just I haven't been by myself, because I've been adapting to the situation, and it's kind of like when Rob does his workouts with his wheelchair racing team. They're getting together and they're meeting up socially. It's not quite the same, but at least we're hitting on a part of it where we can still get that interaction, which is super important.
Yeah, that's cool. And I know something I really took out of what you shared is that you gave a lot and showed up a lot with the live streams, and that community sort of was formed around you. And we're going to talk a bit more later about community, but I can tell that that was a big part of what was sort of you enjoyed giving to the community, but I'm sure you got a lot out of serving them as well. So that's really cool to hear that. I know you're going to be doing our second session later, the practical session, so I'm looking forward to getting a bit active on this Tuesday evening.
Excellent.
Cool. So I believe that Mel's going to do a session now. It's going to involve, I think, sharing some of her screen as well. So I'm going to turn the camera off and pass that over to you, Mel, and looking forward to joining you for this with all the viewers as well.
Okay. Well, hopefully there's a little bit of a physical element with what I'm going to talk about as well. Not as strenuous, but I guess the first thing I want people to think about is when our guts kind of go haywire when we're stressed, and not only is our brain really important, but also our guts. And when we get into this kind of overwhelmed state, our brain and our gut are kind of egging each other on, And the key is that is trying to interrupt that process and say, oh, calm down, I'm not in a life-threatening situation here. So that's what these exercises are for. And I would just encourage people to try them just once a day, a few times a week for maybe 3 weeks. You know, if you can give it like 20 goes, you'll have a bit of an idea if it's going to work for you or not. And I also just want to suggest, I'm going to hold this book up and I'll put the link in the comments, this book by Peter Levine called Healing Trauma. And it's a very short, very thin book, which is always helpful to people who are overwhelmed, with a CD in the back. And he explains how our bodies hold this tension and cumulatively hold it. And it's a program very simply to help release that tension. So I recommend that as well as these 2 exercises. So the first one is called STAR, and it's an abbreviation that stands for smile, take, breath and relax. And again, it's all about interrupting this fight-flight instinct. So what you do is you smile, and you take a breath and you let it out. And as you let it out, the idea is that the letting out breath needs to be longer than the in-breath, because the letting out breath is what interrupts the stress process. So smile, take a breath. And let it out. If you're able to, you can extend your breath by doing a fuff sound, like fuff or frog. So you first do a and then completely to empty your lungs, you end on a like a snake. And if you do the fizz and the sizz, you can really empty your lungs a lot and do a really long breath. So you can do that. So that's quite easy. STAR, smile, take a breath and relax. But you can also add some things in to make it more beneficial. As you're breathing out, you can add in an affirmation like, I am managing, or I am going to manage this. Sometimes what I've done myself, and these are all exercises that I've been doing in lockdown, is you can rub a nice oil on your hands, and as you're breathing in, you can put your hand over your face and breathe it in. And the other thing you can do instead of the breathing out is you can do what's called a VOO sound. So that goes like this: smile, VOO, which makes people a bit embarrassed if there's people around. But this VOO sound, researchers have found, interrupts this brain-gut mechanism. With some people that I've worked with, they said, I can't do VOO around, I've got PAs and all sorts of people walking around. So we've also tried humming. That, again, when you hum, you can feel it kind of reverberating in your stomach. And again, you can add that on. So you can do it very simply if you want to do it privately, just the STAR by itself, or you can add these little bits in to see if it gives you extra benefit. Then the second exercise, if you're able to do this, is a bending exercise. And again, they have somehow researched it. I found this exercise that, again, it interrupts this fight-flight mechanism. So I'm going to push my chair back and show you very simply what to do. I'm going to move my screen a little bit so you can see me. And so really all you do is you bend over, then you just hold the back of your legs, and you just breathe gently in and out as you're doing that. And then if there's time at the end, I'll show one of Peter Levine's exercise for overwhelm, and that's helpful if you can't do that bending over exercise. There's another one that you can do. And so that's it for that bit for now. I agree totally with Ben's angle as well, that there's so many different ways to look after yourself and to release this tension in our bodies. My husband Steve from Spokes has used Ben's services to help with his tension. And I also hold a lot of tension up here in my neck and shoulders. So I've used the same exercises, Ben, and they've been really helpful for me too. So I try and do them a few times a week when I feel the kind of anxiety, tension building. There's lots of other ways, like going outside, sitting near the window, finding beauty in everyday life, and trying to appreciate all the little things. So we've been shielding almost since March, so it's been quite hard for our family. I made friends with a lovely spider in my bathroom, And I posted on our Facebook page that every evening I would go in and he was back in the window. And I would just say, hello, spider. And just those little things was like, okay, I don't feel totally alone in our little bubble. There's other things going on out there. And the window cleaner came and washed him away, sadly. I was really sad. So I'm hoping that a new spider friend will come and live in my window, in my bathroom. But yeah, and Martin's going to talk a bit more about peer support, and that's really important, I think, as we've all said. So we're now going to go to a video of the Kandu Group and all the different companies that are in that, as some of you might be wondering who we all are.
Cool. Well, hopefully that's explained a little bit more about the Kandu Group. Obviously, if you have any other questions for the whole group or for individual members, then yeah, we'll all of the you can ping us on Facebook Messenger and all the other social channels that are out there, right? And an email, etc. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. So as we mentioned earlier, particularly with some of the things that Ben had said, that thing about community is really important. And I think, also we can sort of refer to it as peer-to-peer and lots of different terminology, but it's about having that group of people that you can obviously share experiences, sort of to communicate, get it off your chest and sort of get out your own head, and just have people around you that understand kind of what you're going through. But I think there's that two-way side with community, that it's also about being able to listen to others and give advice, or just generally be that ear as well. And I think that's been one of the things we found with Disability Horizons. As some of you may be aware, I'm the co-founder. And so whilst it's a magazine, disabilityhorizons.com is where all of the articles go. And there's lots of great articles by the community, for the community, on all sorts of topics, from fitness to travel to relationships, etc. But we've found that the D Horizons Tribe, which is a Facebook group for a lot of the people that wanted to not only just read the articles, but to share those experiences I just said before, has been really, really powerful. And we've had a lot of feedback that while we've had this quite isolating year in some ways, that there have been the ways to be in the Facebook group, or have little Zoom calls off of it, whatever it might be. And so it's been really nice just looking back since we've had these 2 lockdowns now, how we've been able to do virtual events and bring people together, very much like we are right now. So that's just kind of my 2 pennies worth on the power of community, particularly in this year of COVID. But as always, it'd be good to come back to you guys and just any experiences or thoughts you've got on community as well. So we'll go reverse order. So Ben, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, as you say, like, the community for me has been so important during lockdown. It means that I'm not just talking to my girlfriend, which is handy. It means I'm talking to other people, and I'm lucky enough, one, to be part of the Kandu Group, where I get to meet other people that are going through, similar sort of, we're all going through like coronavirus stuff together during lockdown, and it's really good to interact with others and find out what other people are doing, how they're coping with it, how they're interacting. So from the business side of things, it's been fantastic like that. And from my own personal community that we sort of built through, it's amazing how it's connected people in a way that they haven't necessarily done before. So I've got people from all over the world joining in on my videos, and before this it was sort of, they comment on the videos and then I recognise their names popping up every now and again. But now, having the live streams, they can interact with each other, and then having Zoom calls as well. And it's amazing because they've communicated outside of my stuff as well. So they've made their own little mini communities that they can join up, and when I'm not live streaming, they can live stream as well. So I feel like there's some great ways to adapt to the current situation. And it's just by doing what you would do if you were new in a new town. You sort of go out there and find the communities, because they are out there and they are welcoming, and you can normally find one that's right for you. So it's pretty awesome, I think.
Great. Thanks, Penny. Just actually reminded me that those of you watching right now on the live, we are going to have a Q&A when we've after Ben's session, after we finish this roundtable chat as well. So if you have any questions for any of us individually, any of us as a broader sort of Kandu Group type question, or even just want to share your experiences, how are you finding with your physical and mental well-being? We'd love to hear your experiences too. And obviously, if you're watching it back later, we might not be able to know what the question was. We're not able to time travel, unfortunately, with all this tech going on here today. Time travel is not quite there, but still do share your questions and experience, and we'll pick that up afterwards as well. But if you're watching live, get your questions in, and we'd love to answer them a bit later in today's session. So over to you, Mel. Community, what does that mean to you? What's the importance of community? How's it been this year with COVID?
Yeah, I think community has always been important. I remember the first couple that we met where one person had a disability, and I was like, yes, get in. because just having that understanding what daily life is like, because so often people just don't want to know or don't get it. It has been challenging because, like I said, we've been shielding for quite a long time. I guess I'm grateful of the tech, both me and Steve have been Skyping, Zooming, WebExing, all sorts of programs with people that we know, WhatsApping, and I think personally I had to make the choice to reduce some of my work. And I think that's important to say as well, that sometimes you have to choose and that your well-being has to go first for your own situation. We've tried to get out and, meet in parks and make as much of those opportunities, which was easier during the summer. And just keep trying to use the Skype and Zoom. We've done online quizzes and online murder mysteries and all sorts of ways to make it fun, because we notice like you end up just talking to someone and you're like, well, what's, I have relatives that live in other countries, so I'm like, well, what's going on with COVID for you, and then it's like, oh, let's talk about something else. Okay. So having these kind of online quizzes and games has been really helpful. And for me and Steve, we've also taken the time to make use of the isolation that we've got our board games out, and we're like, well, let's switch the tech off and let's play some Scrabble or Boggle, and that's been really important to have a bit of balance there. So
yeah, you make three really interesting points there. I think that the thing around having community where other disabled people is really powerful. Like, forget COVID, I've just always, over my life, there's been times at primary I was the only person with a disability, and then secondary there was like a unit of disabled students but amongst non-disabled students, and I think that it's almost a balance is quite powerful there, that we're not only defined by disability but we're very embracing of those differences we experience, and there's nothing better than having someone else that experiences that to chat it through with as well. So that was one point. Second one, about how this year with the COVID we've had to really embrace the digital world with all like the Zoom, Google Hangout, all that, as you say, WebEx, all those things. It's been certainly weird and wonderful, as I keep using that expression, but yeah, upskilling on all the video stuff, and it's become more normal. I think it always used to be a bit weird even a year ago. It sometimes was a bit weird on video calls, but I think we're all more used to it. And the third thing about switching the tech off still, and the old school board games, like Kasha and I have played a bit of battleships and chess, and that's been so nice to not only just be on the laptop. Even when it was socializing on the laptop, it was still a laptop. So yeah, lots resonated with me there, so thank you, Mel. And Rob, how about you with community?
I thought it was interesting, Mel, bringing up the Zoom or online quizzes and stuff like that. It definitely was a novelty at the start, wasn't it? Like in that first lockdown period, we're all like, "Whoa, there's an online quiz tonight," and everyone will, have their dinner together or get a glass of wine and do an online quiz. And it seems, certainly for me, that's because it was such a novelty at the start. It was quite exciting, but now it's sort of become day-to-day life. It's not quite as exciting anymore, and everyone's got the hang of the technology, like you're saying already. We're quite used to jumping on a Zoom call or whatever it is. I look at my Zoom schedule for a week, and I'm booked in for sort of 6 or 7 Zoom chats over various days with various people, which is great. But there is a sense that you're just missing out on the way that you can communicate. Like, it doesn't work quite the same on Zoom, and I really miss that. Like, just for me, generally has to be one person talking. You can't have sort of spontaneous conversation quite so easily, and I really miss just little things like going into the office, and meeting as a team rather than doing it on Zoom, and just that kind of office chat. Like I said earlier, my racing group has been really good, and it was lovely that we could get back to training down the track over the summer, and it is a community that I really appreciate being able to be part of. even on Zoom. It just gives us that little outreach from, the very small bubble that you end up getting in with your family, which is great. And as all of you have said, you do get a better closeness. You have time to spend, particularly when it was homeschooling as well, which was very hard work. But it was. I know you do that all the time, don't you, Mel? You homeschool. But we found that very different. And I think Jacob, our 7-year-old, was really missing his friends. But there was a chance to, have more time as a family, and that little small community as a family. That was great. And we were at the time we were able to go outside a lot more easily because the weather was better. But there's something that's not quite the same about a Zoom or a video chat, which I do really miss. And I'm looking forward to getting back to that. I think it's going to be a long, hard winter, to not be too grim about it all. But I'm looking forward to when the weather gets better and we can start just seeing each other in person, and those interactions become a lot more easy to do, I think, and a lot more natural.
Yeah, I think we would agree there. It's definitely not the same as being in person, for sure.
Yeah.
I know you say about the Zoom, not being able to have the spontaneous chats as easily. That sort of quote of the year is, "Your microphone's muted," isn't it? Like everyone's had that one happen to them at some point. So, yeah, and as you say about the winter ahead, I mean, we are where we are, and there's no. I've talked a couple of times the last couple of weeks about how I've tried to look at what I can control and not focus on what I can't control, and that sort of mental framework. So I mean, you touched upon your training, Rob, which was sort of moving it now into the physical well-being side of our chat. But I mean, obviously physical well-being, it's inclusive of exercise, but there's broader points as well, sleep, diet, all of that side effects are physical and mental well-being, really. But any other things you've sort of found over the lockdown or over this year that you've changed or just tried to continue doing to look after physical well-being?
Is this me?
Yeah, back to you, Rob.
Yeah. I've tried to maintain as much as a regular routine as possible, even though it's been slightly changed. I think in the first lockdown, it was just a bit of like, let's have a glass of wine and a bit of chocolate in the evening, and watch the news about the coronavirus. And I tried to avoid doing that quite so much in lockdown too. I'm just trying to sort of maintain as much normality as possible. I'm really missing being able to go down to the actual gym. Try to set up what I can at home, and I'm sure Ben will expand on what options there are on the home exercise front soon. But it's not quite the same there. But I think having some sort of structure to your day, some sort of goals to try and maintain is a good idea. I'm again struggling with that because generally my goals are, there's a race, I've got a marathon to do, or I've got a half marathon to do in a month's time. That's my goal, get ready for that. But everything's been cancelled. Literally, things came in, they just went, as soon as the lockdown 2 happened. So I've not had any races to look forward to, or to as goals to look forward to. So I'm just trying to, keep myself physically active, try and maintain that routine as much as possible. And we'll continue that way and see if we can maintain some sort of fitness by the time we come out of all this.
So what wine and chocolate is the answer, right?
Wine and chocolate was the go-to, certainly at the end of lockdown 1. Yeah,
lockdown 1. Yeah. Is it now kale and smoothies now?
Yeah. You still want a little treat in the evening, though, don't you?
For sure.
Let's have something nice. But
and that's the balance, isn't it? There's still that having something to look forward to, and that's stuff as well. Cool. And Mel, what's your sort of general thoughts on physical well-being this year?
Yeah, very important. Definitely noticed that we're all a lot less fitter in our household. And but yeah, I think going into what Rob says, having that structure is good. So trying to we're not as hardcore in the exercise, I don't think, in our household, but at least every day trying to take 10 minutes to do some stretches, warming up. Definitely for me, I feel that helps the tension in my body. What I was saying, using Ben's exercises, and some other ones, and and then just trying to get out. Even we've been making it a habit to just take letters to the letterbox, and biking, scooting, whichever way we can get there, and trying to build little moments in where we're changing scenery and getting a bit of exercise. And I think, like Rob's saying, the diet is very important as well. And I don't know, I think that some people are a bit fatigued in lockdown too, and so there's maybe a sense of, oh well, I've already put on so much weight, I might as well just carry on. And winter has that effect on people anyway, doesn't it, coming up to Christmas, putting on weight. So I think it's just being mindful of that. So we've been trying to, like, at the weekends, take time to prepare a really nice new recipe that is still healthy. So the love that goes into the process of the food making kind of compensates for the lack of junk food.
Yeah, well, you were talking earlier a bit about mindfulness, where you're sort of enjoying the little things and your spider that had been missing for a while. So even with the food, it's about partly something to look forward to, but also enjoying the process of cooking and things like that as well.
I like taking a bath. I've made a conscious effort to book that in. No one disturb me, I'm having bath time.
Yeah.
All these little ways that we can look after our physical well-being as well. Yeah.
Well, we're building up to Ben's session. It'll be great, Ben, as well, to obviously just give some thoughts and then go straight into your session. But just to give one final call out to everyone watching, if you've got any questions, any comments, then after Ben's done the session, we'll be taking your questions for a Q&A finale, shall we call it? Although I think this fitness session with Ben is going to be the fireworks of the show. So get your questions in. You can just comment on the live stream, and I've got some helpful assistants sending over to me any questions to get from you. So final call for questions. And Ben, over to you.
Yeah, so with the physical side of things, because obviously that's where, like, my area of expertise is, it's been really interesting during lockdown, because for me, like Rob, going to the gym is sort of a ritual almost. It's like something I do. I normally do it 5 times a week, go to the gym, I see my usual friends, I have my routine that I do, and it's been weird not doing that. So adapting the fitness to the home life has been kind of a two-sided story, in terms of, like, one side it's been really fun and exciting, trying all these new things and experimenting with it and coming up with ways to adapt what I kind of was doing before, but at the same time missing some of, like, I obviously during lockdown, if anybody tried to ever get any fitness equipment, it's basically impossible, and if you do get it, it's ridiculously priced. So, like, for example, I haven't got the heaviest dumbbells, so trying to adjust the workouts to what I have got has been a fun challenge, but a challenge nonetheless. And the bit through that, and having help with the community, as I said before, and sharing ideas off each other, because one thing I do is I try and adapt all my fitness routines for as many people as possible, which is not always possible to get everybody, but we try and work so it doesn't matter if you're or heavily disabled, or if you're whatever end of the spectrum you might be on, that at least you can get a good workout in with what you've got lying around your house, which is kind of what I'm going to be showing today. Is I thought about doing one workout, but I thought I'm going to do 3 mini workouts that equate to about a workout, and show you sort of some different ways to use things that you've got around your house, or to what things that I would recommend that if you were to go and get some equipment for your own house, because it doesn't look like we're going to be out of this anytime soon. Well, we might be. Who knows where we're going to be, but it's still great stuff to have, even for when, like, you travel, or for just your own use. Say, there's always situations when we can't get to the gym or can't do what we want to do, so it's good to have these things on standby so we can still get that workout in and fitness in, because it's the fitness for me is it's, especially at the time now, it's so important for your mental well-being, releasing that serotonin, giving you a routine, giving you structure if it's something you do every day, or every other day, or whatever your routine might be. It gives you that structure which helps you with your focus and all that throughout the day, and it helps you achieve tasks. I know every morning most mornings I get up and do a yoga routine, and that really helps just to set the day and make sure that I'm in the right frame of mind, and then later on I'm doing my workout as well, and it gives that structure to the day, and I feel like I'm a bit more productive. But also on the physical side of things, it helps with stuff like my posture, because obviously even though I'm still exercising, I'm not going out and pushing my wheelchair, I'm not getting in and out of the car as much, so I'm not moving as much as I would normally do. So it's really great to get that body moving as much as I can, because it's just going to be a lot of TV or a lot of sitting at the computer editing videos otherwise. So it's not too much of the usual activity, day-to-day stuff. And also, so with the posture, that also helps with stuff like our breathing, which if we get in better lung capacity, that's going to help us fight off anything if we do get anything, whether that's regular coughs and colds, if that's a UTI like Rob's got at the moment, helping us through that period and making sure that we get through it quicker, our immune systems are as best as they can be, and that we can get back to our usual sort of routine once we get through the other side of it. So yeah, it's been a challenge, it's been fun, and it's been good, and I've been really enjoying the community side of it, as we said earlier. So yeah, I think without further ado, I'll get on with showing you some workout routines that you can do. Obviously, I'm going to show you some equipment here as well. If you don't have any of the equipment, do not worry. I'm going to show you some things that you might have around the house, some that you might not, and some that if you were going to get some equipment to help boost your routine, that it's as low cost as it can be. So I'm just going to pin my screen here so you can see me bigger, and then we will get on with that. Okay, so just taking my headphone out, otherwise I'm gonna end up with it around my neck. Okie dokie. Alright, so the first thing I wanted to show you is something that I came up with before lockdown actually, which was a way to get cardiovascular fitness in without pushing your wheelchair or hand cycling, which is the usual ways. All it is just to mix it up a bit. And it's especially good for people that do struggle with pushing. Maybe you're in an electric chair, or maybe you're a high-level quadriplegic or cerebral palsy or whatever it might be. If you've got any sort of upper limb function, then it can be really helpful to do that, rather than the wear and tear on the shoulders from pushing it. We change it up a little bit, and we're going to use a pole, just like so. So with the pole, we can do a variety of exercises here, and this is just a bit of PVC pipe from a hardware store, but you can use a broom handle, or you can just use a stick from wherever you can find a stick. And then with that, we can just use some like paddling forwards, and then we can do like some paddling backwards, like so we're pretending we're in a kayak sort of thing. We can do some forward motions, some overhead like that, and then sort of a side to side. And you can really sort of have a play around with it. So each sort of couple of weeks, I try and come up with some new exercises to do. So our latest one was the rainbow one, coming over like so, and just doing those. So if you have got a pole at home, you can just grab that and you can join in if you want. We're just going to go for a quick routine through, and as we're doing it, I'll explain how you can turn this into a sort of a full session. So the first one we can do is sort of paddling forwards, as I said before, and we can do this for 30 seconds. So we just go forwards, and what we're doing here is sort of interval training. So we're going 30 seconds forwards, and then what we do is have 30 seconds rest after that. And you can do this with different exercises. So say for the first one, with say paddling forwards, having rest for 30 seconds, and then you can either repeat that same exercise for a couple of times and then do a different exercise for a couple of times, and then end up doing sort of somewhere between sort of 10 and 20 rounds of 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. And you can change lots of the variables here. So if we rest here, so it's going to be about 30 seconds here, and then you can change up the exercise next. So the next one could be here and then above, or you could do the twist one, and mixing and matching it up. And as I say, changing the variables is what we can do here. So you can have more exercise time, less rest time, and come up with a sort of a program there. And if you got access to a mobile that has apps, then you can download a HIIT interval timer. So it's just HIIT, and then on that you can customize your workout, and it means that you're hands-free. You can put it up on the side and it will tell you when to go, when to stop, and you can customize the amount of rounds and the rest you do. So it's a really great way to throw in some exercise here. Alright, so we go again for the next one, so it's 30 seconds up and forwards. Good stuff. So as I said, we're doing 3 mini workouts here, just to give you an idea of how you can adjust it. And you don't have to do it exactly how I'm doing it. You can just make up your exercises. You can adapt it on the fly. As I said, it's all about making sure that you're working to the best ability that you can work at. Don't worry about what other people are doing and all that stuff. Okay, good. And so with these pipes, or a broom handle, whatever you've got, it can be, for some people, quite tricky to hold on to them, and that's where a fantastic product comes in that Rob sells for Active Hands, and I've had mine for 10 years now, and you can use this to grip hold. I've just got about enough grip here to hold on to that, so I don't need it, but you can use these gloves and this helps you grip onto it, and lots of other things. I'm going to be showing you that in the last mini workout we've got here. So let's put this pole to the side. And so they are very mini workouts. And I'm going to show you the next piece of equipment that I swear by, which is a resistance band. So I've got a couple of different types here, or a couple of different resistances. And my favourite type of resistance band is these looped ones. And the reason for this is because they are super compact when you want to go travelling. So I like to travel a lot, obviously not at the moment as much, but when I travel, I can stick this in my luggage, and anywhere I go, I've got essentially a portable cable machine. So this is fantastic, and I can do majority of my workout with just this one little piece of equipment. So, and compared to a lot of other gym equipment, it's relatively inexpensive. So I'm going to show you some stuff you can do with it just in your own hands. So we can do some exercises where we're pulling it apart, just like so, and this is working on our back muscles and our rear deltoids, and just getting in that sort of exercise here, and that's going to really help us with our posture, strengthening up here so we're less rounded in the shoulders. So again, I'll just show you from the side so you can see that there. And for this you can do sort of 3 sets of 10, sort of a basic simple workout that you would usually see in fitness programs, 3 sets of 10 of that, and then you can do other exercises here, so you can have it behind our backs. I'll go to the side here and then pushing forwards, just like so. Or we can do stuff where we even hold it in the hand, in one hand. So we've got this hand here, and we do like tricep extensions, we can do overhead press, and lots of other types of exercise. So the limit here is really the limit of your imagination. So imagine how you can do an exercise, link it up, and then you can do those. The other way we can use these bands is, so that's it, not attached to anything, but I've got another one here attached up to my table leg. I will say though, if you ever attach this to anything, make sure it's nice and stable. It's not going to move or fall over, because I've done that before and it's not been pretty. So make sure it's nice and secure on, and we can do stuff here. And then this is essentially, like I was saying, the cable machine. So we can do stuff like tricep extensions, we can do rows, we can do the face pull type of stuff, and then we can turn around and do the other, so we can come to our side. We can do internal shoulder rotations and external shoulder rotations, which are fantastic again for our shoulder health. And then we can start to come into the chest pressing, and then again turning right the way around and pressing forwards and getting that chest workout in. So with this one resistance, you can start with just one resistance band, and from there you can really build up a nice program with that and use a lot of different exercises. I say it's basically a portable cable machine if you can tie it up to something. And then the last thing I was going to show you was the active hand grips. Oh, I will say actually, 1 second on the resistance band. If you do struggle with grip, then again, Active Hands make a couple of products, and I combine mine sometimes, especially if I'm going a little bit heavier. I get the D-ring here. I attach a carabiner. Make sure it's a climbing carabiner and not a like one used for attaching keys to a chain, because again, that's a recipe for disaster. And then I clip that to the resistance band, and then I've got my hands free there to be able to do that. So that's a really great way to do that if you have got any limitations in your grip. So let's get this one set up here. So just going to grab a dumbbell. So the one things, obviously resistance band is great for the cable machine, but sometimes we like to use some dumbbells and do stuff like bicep curls, tricep extensions, overhead press, lateral raise, all sorts of exercises that you can do here with this. I'll just attach this one up. And this allows me to be able to do anything where I need to grip hold of something. So as I said, I've had these for 10 years and they still are working very well. And just going to get that in there. Like so. And then with this, as I said, we can do lots of things. So now my hand is locked in here, which is really handy. Pardon the pun. And then we can do stuff like bicep curls. We can do overhead press. We can do tricep extensions if you've got that ability. You can do raising up to the side, up to the front. We can almost lean forwards and do it up to the back here. Rear flies. Again, the limit here is your imagination. And again, we can do this for like sets. We can do 3 sets of 10, 4 sets of 12, whatever it might be, adjusting it to whatever weight that you've got at that time. So hopefully with those 3 sort of ideas there, it gives you an idea of how you can develop a program at home. So with the cardio, we can improve our cardiovascular endurance. With the resistance band, we've got a portable cable machine that can help with stuff like your posture. And then with the active hands combined with a dumbbell, active hands obviously if you need them, we can get in some strength as well. So we're covering majority of our fitness there. On top of that, there's other things you can do. Obviously there's lots of components of fitness. We can improve our flexibility by doing some yoga movements, and there's plenty that we can do there. But if you guys ever want to know more about how to adapt fitness routines or anything like that, you can come and join me on Adapt to Perform. I've got nearly 400 workouts and I go live 3 times a week, so feel free to come along and join one of those sessions. It'll be a pleasure to have you there, and it'd be awesome for you to meet the rest of the gang. Alrighty, I'm gonna come back over to everybody else now, and then there we go, we're all back now.
Well done, Ben. I am impressed with the workout and impressed with your production abilities, but doing both at the same time is formidable. Thank you so much for that. There's a lot of helpful tips there, and I'd like to think there were people, doing it along live. But as we said earlier, if it's something that they want to come back to later or tomorrow or in the week, obviously this live stream will be available to come back to as well. So if you didn't quite get into it now, don't worry, you'll be able to watch it back as well. So we are getting nearer the end of our time together. We've got a little bit now of a Q&A. There's not a lot of actual direct questions, but there's been quite a few comments, and a few of them have been shared with me. So one of them was from Luke, who was saying, wow, 140 days of live streaming in a row during lockdown is a lot. Ben, how did you keep your energy levels high and remain so enthusiastic every day?
It remains a mystery to me. Basically, it was again the community that helped me through it. It wasn't like, although it was 140 days in a row in fitness, it wasn't like hard work every single day. So we had days where we were doing yoga or active recovery and having a chat. And to begin with, it was just 20 minutes every day just to come together as a community, have a chat, have a bit of a workout, and carry on. And it was really the community that kept me going, having that sense of responsibility to them, and also to have that feedback. If I do this every day, it's part of my routine, it's part of what I'm doing, and it really definitely helps. So if anybody is struggling with starting a fitness routine, then having that accountability with other people is a really great way to start. And I'm sure Rob could say the same with his fitness group. If he's not there, he feels like he's almost letting down. Well, I won't speak for you, Rob, but
it was interesting while you were doing your workout, I was taking note of it, but I was also downloading a hit timer, because that's something that I do a lot more of. So I think next time I do my workout, I'll take on board some of that stuff, and I'll use my new downloaded hit timer. So that was really good to see that.
Cool. So did anyone else, Rob or Mel, did you want to add anything? I don't suppose you maybe know the answer to how Ben kept motivated from his 140 odd days, but was
well,
there
Martin,
anything?
how about yourself? Because you did a lot of live streaming. How did you stay motivated to do your daily sib?
Yeah, I think some of the stuff we mentioned earlier about routine and habit is, when you conform, there's a really good book. I haven't yet read it, but I know everyone's shared it as the book about forming good habits, called Atomic Habits. So I definitely recommend anyone that hasn't read that book to give it a go. It's been very highly regarded. And once it became a habit, a bit like for you, Ben, it just you're just there and you're just doing it, and it's just quite doesn't take a lot of overthinking. You're just in the zone and in a flow state. It really did sort of become quite a flow state, and it all felt quite easy and quite natural. But then when I stopped after 4 months, I was like, how did I manage that? So it does take its toll, and it is quite a lot of planning and arranging and just giving energy while you're presenting live to lots of people. But yeah, it's as you say, that community side definitely powered me a lot as well too.
Not to get competitive, but how many days in a row did you do, Martin?
I don't think I beat Ben. I know that it was for 4 months. So if and it wasn't weekends. So if it's like 20 days a month times 4, so I might have got up near 100 maybe, but yeah, it was no 146.
But it's interesting about the reciprocity that I'm hearing. Not only is there a kind of pay it forward, so you're helping those in the community by sharing your stuff, but you're also gaining yourself, and in a way therapy's like that too, in that I learn as much from the people that I talk to as the other way around. And I think that's really important, particularly for disability, where you often feel like it's a one-way system, and that reciprocity.
Yeah, totally agree with that. So someone called Matthew was asking about joining the Kandu groups. I didn't anything about Kandu, do a direct message on the Facebook page, and we can have that conversation, whether it's about joining or just generally about what Kandu does and what it is. Obviously the video would have helped to articulate that, but I think that's one we can pick up afterwards. Sally has mentioned listening to your body and feeling out of control. A few people have commented on friendship, community, made in Ben's ATP group, and that Ben has made her fitter. So we've got some fans out there, Ben.
Excellent. Hello, everyone. I did tell them to come, so
yeah,
let's get their out in force.
Naomi, routine is definitely a challenge, but certainly helps if you make it work. I think around routine and habits we've all been saying. So someone saying technology has been so great to reach out and to keep in contact with others. I've been isolated in a room for 2 years, so I've tried to help as many people deal with the isolation anxiety issues that were developing. So that's been my silver lining to my situation. That's really interesting, because I think there are people that are home for different reasons a lot of the time, and there's a sense of now the world understands, it's the way that education and work and leisure has all come online more than ever to our homes. There's been people calling out for that for years, so there have been this sort of positive sides as well, I think.
I think it's quite a leveler as well for people with disabilities, because in the world of work there was always this kind of like barrier for accessibility, and the introduction of Zoom and that being a common thing gives us a much easier chance to be on a level playing field with other people. Then, if we're all working from home and you've got your own home adapted, there's no reason you can't compete for jobs with anyone else really. And I know we're not really talking about jobs, but yeah, it's interesting to see how that has changed. What we can aspire for as disabled people as well.
Yeah, well, we talk a lot, in different formats about the value of disabled people, the talent and the contribution. And I guess that's been, as the person's comment I just read out before, in that leveler you mentioned as well, Rob, it's sort of disabled people have got skills in resilience and overcoming challenges, and so been able to, like this person said, maybe help others that were less used to this and less prepared for it. So that sort of flips the dynamic of how disability can be seen stereotypically by society, and we're actually tooled up to cope with this more than some non-disabled people are. Cool. So Jax is saying one not so serious question, how to bench press a stockpile of toilet paper. I think that was when you were doing your home item workout, Ben. Have you, as you were talking a bit there, like, I guess there are weird and wonderful things people can use to work out with, right?
Yeah, like I was saying to people, if you don't have a set of dumbbells, and it is really difficult to get hold of a set of dumbbells. I've been trying to get 10 kilograms now for about 6 months and not been able to. They're just out of stock everywhere. But like, if you're just starting out with it, you can just use 2 drinks bottles, fill it up with water, and then just grab those and go. It's something that's better than nothing. So yeah, I can see a drinks bottle there next to you. So get lifting in muscle.
So last of the bits that have come in from the live comments and questions, and then we'll come for all of you for any final thoughts before we wrap. So one is, are there any recommendations for good online mental health resources, particularly as can't currently meet face-to-face, perhaps some apps? I think they're generally around mental health resources, whether it's apps or books. I know you gave that recommendation of the book earlier, Mel, but yeah, any broader signposting for people if they want to look a bit more there?
Yeah, I think obviously there's a lot of help and support on our website and our Facebook page, and we have links to therapists that have some sort of disability experience. A lot of therapists are now working online, so that many people have come to our service and said, well, I just had to go with the therapist that was the only one that was accessible in my area, even though they weren't the right match. So working online does free up you have a lot more choice. There's a lot of people who say they don't prefer it, they prefer to meet in person. There's something around eye contact is different and the presence is different online. But again, I think like Ben was saying, sometimes it's better than nothing. At least there is support out there. Probably our website and Facebook group are a good place to start, and people can email me through there, and I'll try and support them that way. We've also got a list, a free self-help members area, and we have lists of like books and websites and magazines that are kind of disability affirming. So there is lots out there, but you need to know where to find it. It's not kind of mainstream. Sure,
cool. Well, Ben, Rob, anything you want to add to that question, or anything else, just more broadly as a summary? We'll come to you first, Ben.
Yeah, I was just along the same lines of books. The one that I've read, and it's a Japanese principle called Ikigai, and it's all about finding something in life that gets you up in the morning. That's kind of and it's a combination between these 4 different elements that, it is that helping you get up in the morning. And that's what I've found through Adaptive Perform, is my Ikigai, and I'm sure others can say with what they do, it's the same thing. It's the reason to get out of bed in the morning. So if anybody is looking for more book recommendations, that's one I can definitely. And it's a nice small book, so you don't have to be there for hours and hours reading it.
Well, we got a few months of winter, so yeah, plenty of time to get some good books in. And thanks for that, Ben. Anything else you wanted to add?
No. I think it's been really helpful today's session, hearing what everybody's saying and how they're going through it, and it's really good, and looking forward to the rest of these sessions.
Yeah, definitely. Well, with a bit more of that to come at the end as well. We've got a promo video, I believe, on that side. But over to you, Rob, for final thoughts from your side.
Unfortunately, I don't have a book to recommend.
Rob. What about a good wine?
Good wine, maybe. Yeah. We've been pretty much flat out through lockdown, so with all the various different sort of pulls on your time, I think it's just important to sort of spend some time analysing what does make you happy, what does make you motivated, what things are a struggle, and spend a bit of time just realising what they are and how you can sort of avoid the things that are difficult for you, mentally, and also use the things that do give you a boost as much as you can. And some of those may not be available to us at the moment, but making adaptations on those things that do make you have a boost in your mental health, and doing them as much as possible. I think Mel was talking about just going out and being outside, and I think sometimes just little things like, rather than having to try and get somewhere, there's often at the moment there's not somewhere we're trying to get to, but actually when you've got little kids, sometimes the journey of walking through a park and stopping at every single little stick and stone and little leaf and picking them up and giving them to daddy, all those things, rather than sort of seeing that as, let's get to the place we're trying to go to quickly, try and enjoy that in the moment, and actually enjoy the time that we've got extra to do that when maybe we're not on a rush to something because that thing is not happening at the moment, but we're just outside, being outside and appreciating what we've got around us.
Yeah, well said. Thank you, Rob. And Mel, final thoughts from you?
Yeah, just linking into what Rob's saying. I often use the metaphor of the battery, so to help people visualize that kind of in and out is like, image you being a battery and what stuff is draining you, and what we need to be doing now is looking at the other side, what stuff is going into your battery, and like Rob's saying, being mindful and enjoying the process of just washing, having a nice shampoo, doing yoga stretch like Ben has said, doing some exercise, taking your time cooking, enjoying your spider friends or whatever creatures are in your house. We've got some hedgehogs outside as well that I'm feeding. It's just making the most of the resources you've got available to you, really.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, we've had a good session. We've all boosted our mental and physical well-being for sure. Everyone watching, thanks for tuning in, and hope you got a lot out of it and some different inspiration and ideas around this topic. And thanks to Ben, Mel, Rob for all your valuable input. It's been really good fun with you, the three of you. I know that coming up, because this is one of a trilogy, if we want to get a bit Star Wars about it, we're going to have Getting the Most Out of Home Life is the next one, and then we've got Access in the Outdoors is the third one, and I believe we're going to finish in a minute with a video that will give you a bit more information about that. But guys, feel free to watch it back and go through those amazing 2 sessions for those particular practical things. And obviously we've got a load of book recommendations for you to keep you busy for the rest of the decade probably. And just really big thanks to everyone involved in making today happen, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you very much for watching.
Bye.
Bye.